What's up, guys? Welcome to Operation B, the podcast. I am your host, Jamie Thurber, and I am here to take you on a journey of deepening, of expansion, of understanding more about who you are and why you're here and how to operate in an optimal way that allows you to do what you want to do, feel how you want to feel, take care of yourself truly, and support everything that your heart desires. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Operation B. This is Jamie, your host, and today we're coming at you from the home office, going to do a little solo episode, which my goal is in these kinds of conversations, actually in every conversation, is to offer a perspective shift, offer a place for you to pause and think, if I made that small shift, or I did that one thing just a smidge different, what could my life turn out like? What could be different? Those kinds of things. So that is the goal always. Today I want to talk about something that I learned about many years ago, actually from an old coach, who I'd say like the path that this person's taken since I worked with them is not one that I would look to for mentorship, which is okay. So let's just talk about that for a second. It's totally okay if at one point in your journey you worked with somebody as a coach or a mentor that at that part in their journey spoke to you correctly, spoke to you the way you needed to hear it. It was exactly what you needed at the time, and it helped you grow and develop. It's okay if as you've grown and developed and created more of your own voice and more of your own solid ground, like planted your flag in a place, that now if that mentor or coach has gone into a different realm or taken their own kind of path that is different than what you would do or different of what you see as integrity or your morals or whatever, that's okay. Doesn't take away from anything from what you learned from them back then. Doesn't take away anything from what you learned from watching the path that they took since and being observant. But I think it's completely normal as humans that those kinds of things happen. So I didn't necessarily come in here to say that, but I think it's important. So when I learned first about the concept of holding space, it was around the idea too of listening to learn versus listening to respond. So a lot of things we talk about here on Op B is ways to be more in the moments, be present, be interacting in a way that feels good, that feels healthy, stuff like that. So ideally, if we can create a space where we can learn to actively listen to what someone is saying, meaning like we can slow down enough in our lives. And that's why most people don't ever accomplish this, because it requires you to slow down enough in your life to be able to see and hear someone for where they are and what they're saying without judgment, without already have passing your own, you can't wait to talk until they're done talking. Being able to hold space for people, especially in your personal life, is a massive gift, not only to them, but to yourself. It allows you to create this connection with someone that, what's funny is a lot of people are seeking this connection from every place they could possibly be looking, when really if they would slow down enough in their moments, they could be finding it all over the place. So what if we chose to acknowledge that ability to be in the now and be in the room is actually a gift to the people that we love and the people that we respect and the people that we want to nurture or love or just enjoy space with. If we were able to understand that when we're go, constantly thinking of the next thing, constantly thinking of what else could be, we can't be in the now. And it is very difficult for you to even notice that the person speaking to you is really just needing you to hold space. I know for men, this has always been a topic of conversation with my male clients, because it is natural for men when someone comes to them with words, or a problem, they want to fix it right away, right? When that's not always what someone's looking for. Honestly, a lot of time it's not what they're looking for. If someone wants you to fix it, they'll ask you to help them fix it. And so learning, like my male clients and Tony and people that I know, like learning how to be able to pause and know that if I need you to do something, I'm going to ask you. Now, ladies, that's where you have to learn to pause and be real with yourself and hold space for yourself, because if you don't know what you want that person to do, you're always going to be left unsatisfied. So often I find in conversations, because I sit and I watch a lot of conversations where I observe or I'm hearing it from various sides of the table, you know, and what I notice is that a lot of people wind up very frustrated or concerned or spending way more time than they should really on something that someone else is experiencing, because they didn't stop to think that, number one, they might not have the whole story, but number two, like, what is that person, like, what is the expectation there? Because if you don't even know what you expect from that person, like what you need or want from that person, how in the fuck do you think they're ever going to provide you what you need when you don't even know what you need? I see this in marriages all the time. Well, he doesn't and she doesn't. And I'm like, do you know what it was that you were looking for from that comment or that conversation? And a lot of times the answer is no. And when the answer is no, well, my answer is, okay, well, they're not freaking mind readers, friend. So you're literally setting everybody up for failure by not communicating, or at least spending enough time with yourself to know yourself and understand what you need. So that becomes a big problem. So my questions I wrote down today for you are, what if we loved people with grace and space and seeked to understand first? So when I say understand, that does not mean agree, okay? You can sit and have a respectful conversation with someone, hear them, give them space to sort out or to say whatever it is they need to say without needing to agree with them. Understanding comes from listening. Understanding comes from having an open enough heart and mind to know that the way someone else thinks or feels is not your responsibility, nor is it your job to try to change. If you're caring for this person or trying to have a respectful conversation with someone, your job is to listen so you can understand. So then you know how to reply or respond, or whether it's just with compassion, maybe it's just with a hug, maybe it's just with, I'm so sorry that you're dealing with that right now. But I see far too often people are jumping to the, well, she's doing this and she should be doing that, and he didn't say this and this is what they should be doing. And it's like, bro, says who? Says who? There's a shirt on my website that says fucking who. Back to when we talk about measuring sticks as far as like what you're supposed to do, how and whatever, like according to who? It applies here as well. So what if we loved people with grace and space and understanding first? It creates a place for you to connect. It creates a place for you to be understood, for you to understood, to feel seen, to feel helpful, to not walk out of a conversation feeling uncomfortable. It is a beautiful gift that you give to yourself and someone else, especially if you're wanting to be a better communicator. But the real reason behind this entire list of questions, if I'm like totally honest with you, the reason behind this list of questions is because I want people to quit creating their own turmoil, quit torturing themselves, quit putting themselves through heartbreak after heartbreak after heartbreak over small things. And when I say heartbreak, I don't mean romantic heartbreak. Like, yes, some of it is, but a lot of it is just being let down, being disappointed, like having all this angst inside of you, feeling like somebody needs to understand, blah, blah, blah. Well, when in reality, that's your job. So if we start meeting people that way, guess what happens? People start meeting us that way. It's a ripple effect. Again, I mention that all the time. So the next question is, what if we learned to recognize that our need for a response is actually a flashlight shining down onto our places that need healing, and we put our energy there instead? Whew, that's a big one. Let's repeat. What if we learned to recognize that our need for a response is actually a flashlight shining down onto our own places that need attention, whether it's healing or whatever? We want to put our attention into that place instead of push, seeking for the need to have a response from someone else. So we live in a world of instant gratification, right? We live in a world of text messages and Instagram DMs and Facebook messengers and WhatsApps and, voice notes and FaceTimes and all these things, okay? And in that, something has gotten very lost. Well, several things have gotten very lost, and that's a whole nother conversation. But what I would like to explain is in that people have created these very unfair, very unrealistic expectations that they're placing on other people. So they're placing on other people this immediate response or this explanation that they think that they owe you, when really they don't owe you anything. Nobody owes you an explanation for their own actions. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your own actions. But often what I recognize in clients and family members and friends that I have these conversations with is that obsessive, I must understand, I must have a response. You owe me a response. Someone needs to tell me, blah, 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 blah. That angst, and it usually comes out really ugly, honestly. It usually comes out really ugly and very needy and very selfishly. What that is doing is shining a flashlight into the dusty, dark corner of yourself where you've hidden away something because it's uncomfortable to look at. But it's something that is yours that needs attention to, right? We do that because we're seeking outward, external validation for our own anxieties and our own shortcomings and our own things that we're uncomfortable with. Mind blown moment. It's no one else's responsibility. It is your job and your job only to create peace for you. It is your job and your job only to be aware of what you expect or want or are willing to take or give or any of that. And oftentimes I see today, and now granted, I can't say what it was like, 20 years ago because I wasn't this age 20 years ago. But from what I understand, this has become quite a big deal where it wasn't before. The amount of anxieties that people are creating for themselves is a lot of self-sabotage, y'all. People have so much anxiety. I'm yeah, maybe. I'm ADHD. Yeah, maybe you are. This is the reason why I did it. Maybe you are. Maybe that's true. And maybe you're avoiding something that's really uncomfortable. That's become a pattern for you. And because we have hot topics all over the internet that are telling us, quote unquote, what's wrong with us, we decide to place that label and that name on them versus recognizing that, in my time in doing personal development, the last 15 years, it's always going to come down to you and your own patterns and your own recognitions and your own shit. End of story. No one is going to excavate through your garbage but you. End of story. And it's not cute. It's not a funny thing to recognize and to understand, but it is the truth. And so in this conversation, holding space for someone else, if you haven't picked up on the theme yet, everything I've spoken about so far, it gives you freedom. It gives you peace. It gives you the ability to be that person for someone else, because guess what? When you're that person for someone else, three things happen. You feel good about it. You also stop settling for other people to treat you differently than that. And it creates the ability to build a bridge instead of blowing it up with someone. It also creates a layer of independence and emotional maturity within ourselves that a lot of us need and are lacking. So why are we lacking it? Again, the world is tornado all day long. Everybody's moving so fast, they don't even have time to recognize their own patterns, let alone change them. So when we're talking about holding space for others, we're also talking about holding space for ourselves. Because if you want to grow as a human being, you have to be aware of your own patterns. And here's the thing. Here's a big kicker for you. If you find yourself saying out loud to people all the time about your growth and your patterns and your emotional blah, 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 or I am used to this language, anti-narcissistic, da, 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 or I'm, so healed. This is before my healing. Well, let me tell you something. Similar to the thing that I say about masculine men don't call themselves masculine, alpha men, mainly more so it's that. Alpha men, truly alpha men, would never in their lives refer to themselves as alpha, bro. Like, that's not how it goes. And I know this because I live with one. He has friends that are genuinely this. Never has those words come out of their mouths, okay? Similar to that, healed people do not walk around calling themselves healed, because people know that healing is a journey and it's not linear. It is ups and downs and all over the place. And it is something that there is no finish line. There is no measuring stick of who did what first and who got where when and who dealt with their personal trauma and my inner child and my... Bro, like, come on. I'll tell you what, I tune out hard when somebody starts talking to me about how healed they are. And you want to know why? Because what that is a not healed thing. You're seeking external validation for work that you have done, but work you have not finished. And until people realize that, here's the thing. True internal healing, true self-awareness, true sovereignty as a human comes with a layer of humility. Y'all, like, it comes with a layer of being so humble, because you can't reach it without it. But it's a layer of humble that includes a layer of confidence, a layer of power that is silent, because silent power is the only truest power at the end of the day. Silent power is the one that's never wavering. It's always standing there. The loud people can be loud. They can blow stuff up if they want to. But guess who's still standing there? Minding their own business, doing their own thing, waiting for that turmoil bullshit to be over so they can keep going forward. Or they just keep going forward anyways. One or the other. I'm going to repeat that question before we go on to the next one. What if we learned to recognize that our need for a response is actually a flashlight shining down into the dark, dusty corners of our own shit that needs healing, and that's actually where we need to put our energy, not in the need, air quotes, for a response from someone else. Got it? That one's a mind-blowing one. Everybody's usually like, holy moly, I never thought of it that way. Shit, I am doing that. What a self-sabotage cycle and pattern that we get ourselves into. And it is hard to see for yourselves. One of the best things you can ever do is notice it, start addressing it, but don't go talk to everyone about it, because that takes away its power. You can talk to your therapist about it or your coach about it. But at the end of the day, those kinds of things are the things that action changes. Talking through dusty things you tucked away with a therapist or a coach, perfect. Makes a lot of sense. Journaling it out makes a lot of sense. Talking to every single human that you meet in life about it, all you're doing is validating. It's like feeding it. You're feeding the fire to get bigger and bigger as this thing, instead of acknowledging it and moving on from it. Acknowledging it and doing what's necessary for you to truly dust out that frickin' corner and make it clear of all those things. Sometimes it takes a while. A lot of times it takes a while. Let's be real. A lot of times it takes a while. So my last point here was the blame game will keep you lonely, upset, and bitter. How many people do we know that have someone else to blame for every single thing that ever happens to them? Like, it's a thing. People do it. She did that, and if they only knew that this is what I really meant, and if they only knew I just cared so much, and if they only knew, that person did that to me. And I think we just recorded an entire episode about this called Tending the Garden. Go back and check it. Brooke will link it below so y'all can find it, because guess what? You may not have planted the seed that created your inner child situation. You may not have planted the seed that made you insecure. You may not have planted the seed that makes you seek external validation, because you do not have yet to build up the fact that you are valid and you are valuable simply because you are. That is no one else's fault. Just because someone else might have done something to create it, it's not their fault. Fault means, that doesn't help. It's not your fault either. What is your fault is choosing to not work on said thing and just let it continue to be your reality. This is what I tell people. If you're not changing, you're choosing. And if you're choosing, good for you, friend. That's great. But quit bitching about it, because it's now your choice. It's now your choice. The blame game will keep you lonely, upset, and bitter. And it keeps you lonely because it makes people not want to be around you. Nobody wants to be around somebody who's constantly beating a dead horse. Nobody wants to be around somebody who's constantly blaming their own bullshit on someone else, because it's not cute. Like, everybody likes to joke about these things and say things like, oh, that's just my, blah, blah, blah tendencies. It's like, it's not cute, guys. Like, I know what you're doing. I know you're trying to make yourself feel better, because this is all very difficult, okay? This is all very hard and not fun to look at, and it's not pretty. But if you want to get to the other side of it, I'm going to continue to call you out on these little weird things that you do that are stopping you. Because all the jokes and the ha-ha, funny, it's this person did that to me, I have trauma, yada, yada. If you're not doing the work to move beyond them or live in harmony with them or let them exist in your body and be aware of the reactions they cause or whatever it is while you're working on creating another layer of understanding and healing, like, buddy, like, you're choosing it. And it sucks, because a lot of that stuff, it's not our fault either. But we're not here to assign blame, because blame just prevents you from getting through it. Blame just prevents you from getting past it. Blame stops you from ever actually moving on. Because then you're going to just keep repeating the patterns. Well, that's what happens. We just keep repeating the patterns until we fucking get it. And that's how it goes. So lonely, it's going to push people away. Upset, the blame game keeps you upset because you're feeding the fire of anxiety. You're feeding the fire of I'm not enough. You're feeding the fire of doubt. You're feeding the fire of there's something wrong with me. Every time you're playing the blame game, you're fueling that fire. Why? Like, stop it. Quit doing this. But like, golly, so many people are just torturing themselves all day. And I can say that because, I know, because I've done it. I still do it sometimes. And luckily nowadays, when that happens, I catch it fast and I nip that shit in the butt and I do what I use my tools and I move forward from it. And that's where you can get. If you want a light at the end of the tunnel, hi, I'm a living example. It's possible. But you got to commit to it. I've committed a lot of years to growing the way I've grown. I'm very grateful for being able to have started with the self-awareness much younger than anybody else does. Like, a lot of people don't start even talking about this shit till they're 40. I'm not even 40 yet. I'm grateful that I had these realizations in my mid-20s, early to mid-20s, and have been able to fight all my own little battles to get through them. And I hope that everyone else that's listening, if you haven't yet or are still doing it, that you realize this is a lifelong journey and that you are grateful to be on it, dude. Like, grateful to be on it. And the bitterness part of the blame game, again, just kind of comes along with it. The bitterness is something that allows us to remain stuck. It allows us to remain in the past. In the past, what's in the past? Depression. What's in the future? Anxiety. What's in the now? Peace or neutral. I want to say neutral because are you always going to be able to find peace? No. But can you create neutrality in the now? Yes. Because in the now is where the fact and fiction lives. Could it be that because this one thing happened, that other thing might happen? So you're creating turmoil and anxiety within yourself because the thing that might happen? Sure. In the now, you're neutral because you don't know what's going to happen yet. So you're not going to waste time and energy on something that may or may not occur. Instead, you spend time on the now, on the things that you can address in the moment. Then maybe those things in the moment do prevent the potential explosion that you see coming, because we do that too. But the other side of it is you got to cut yourself loose from this freaking whirlwind, the loop-de-loop. It's devastating, guys. It's devastating. That was a freaking lot of deep shit in a small period of time. So I'm going to leave you with it because I think on these kinds of things, I want you to listen to this a couple times. I want you to let it sink in. I want you to write stuff out. I want you to pick a couple of things that you're going to focus on and shift. Please don't try to rewrite your entire life at the same time, because that doesn't work. It just keeps us in a cycle, disappointment cycle. Instead, you can pick 2 to 3 things that you're going to pay more attention to. And you're not going to be perfect at it because no one is. But you're going to work on it. I have plenty of tools on the website, jamiethurber.com. There's lots of free tools on there. If you go into my channel, my YouTube channel, there's lots of free trainings. You type in a title of journaling or mindset work or meditation or yoga or overcoming hard things. Like, there are tons of blog posts and tons of videos there for you. I do have a database, actually. If you wanted access to that, you can comment below wherever you're watching, and we can send you the link to my library also, my library of trainings. That is that, my friends. As always, thank you so much for being here. If you liked this message, please be sure to give it a thumbs up wherever it is that you're watching or listening. And if you haven't yet, please hit the subscribe button so you get notified every time that we drop a new episode. And one thing you can do that's massively supportive to this entire mission is to leave a review. If you've not reviewed us wherever it is you listen, please do. That's something that no amount of money can ever pay to create the views or the reach for. So that moment from you is like a gift. So I appreciate you very much. And if you do share this with someone, please be sure to tag us in the share. And until next time, friends, see you then. Bye. Thank you for listening to Operation B, the podcast. To support this message and to support the show, please make sure that you like, follow, and share the podcast wherever you enjoy listening. And be sure to leave us a review on iTunes. Thank you for being here, and see you next time.